Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I begin in the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I'd like to first just express my gratitude for the organizers of this event today. I really feel privileged to be partaking in this. I thought it may be appropriate for today to simply relay to you all the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, entitled Surah Al-Fatiha. I'll just read out the English translation. All praise is due to God, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee do we serve, and Thee do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed with Thy favors, not those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. In this short chapter, comprising of 7 simple verses, we are given the chief attributes of God. We're told that God is Rabb, normally translated as Lord, but really signifying that being that not only creates, but also nourishes and fosters its creation to a stage of perfection. We're told that God is Rahman, meaning that one who has so much love for another that he feels an obligation to do good to it, even though the other may not have done anything to deserve it. We're told that God is also Rahim, meaning that upon seeing the goodness in another, God rewards that person manifold times over. And we're told that God is Malik, meaning the most perfect and just of judges. So it is my sincere prayer for all of us today that we try to incorporate these attributes in our own daily lives. May we incorporate the attribute of Rabb by nourishing each other spiritually. May we incorporate the attribute of Rahman by being tolerant and understanding of one another. May we incorporate the attribute of Rahim by supporting and encouraging one another in good works. And may we incorporate the attribute of Malik by focusing on each other's goodness and forgiving each other for our faults. Thank you very much.
So my name is Zerqa Abid, and I'm representing Interfaith Youth Group here, and also Highest Muslim. I begin in the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. My dear brothers and sisters, may peace and blessings of God be upon all of you. I begin my speech with welcoming you to the civil rights movements of 2010. It may seem to many among us that persecution of selected group of people and struggle against it is some new phenomenon. But I would like to remind you all that it is a divine movement and was initially led by prophets including Moses, Jesus, and Mouhamed. Peace and blessing of God be upon all of them. From children of Israel in Egypt to the Muslims in Makkah, thousands of people and hundreds of communities were persecuted for different kinds of persecution, and they all survived eventually and came out stronger and better than ever before. And their persecutors themselves were simply drowned, destroyed, or dislocated forever. In recent American history, we have seen our founding fathers carrying the same torch of civil rights liberties. We have seen persecutions against several faith-based and ethnic communities, including Jews, Mormons, Catholics, Chinese, Hispanic, Japanese, natives, and Afro-Americans. Regardless of lengthy account of the suffering of these communities and wickedness of American people, I see a silver lining behind every single cloud. Just like the prophetic times, every single persecution ended up introducing thousands of civil rights heroes across the nation, and all those persecuted communities are stronger than ever before. So will be the case of American Muslims, God willing, and their persecutors will be gone forever. I'm not saying this just to cheering you up. I'm saying it because I am one of those very few individuals who have experienced the love and inclusiveness of American people and the fairness in the American system at its peak. Although I stand with bare face in front of you today, I have worn face veil and traditional burqa for 17 years. During that time, I graduated in TV production from North Carolina State University with the highest honors and several awards. As far as I know, I'm the only veiled woman who is inducted to Phi Beta Kappa and has represented my college in the US Congress. I have also worked in NBC Newsroom with my covered face with traditional Zerqa. The support, the love, and the respect I have always received from my American friends, colleagues, and neighbors is something that reminds me and makes me believe that this all will eventually be over and it will be okay. It's only a matter of building bridges and reaching the other side. It's only about standing together and having backs of each other. And that's exactly what we are doing today. To me, each one of you is a civil rights hero. And I welcome and congratulate you all to join the club that was recently led by our beloved Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Last but not least, on the behalf of Ohio's Muslims, I would like to thank Nandyal, Racial Task Force of Central Ohio, and First Unitarian Universalist Church for organizing this solidarity service. By having us all under one roof in the spirit of love and respect for each other, they have practically shown to the rest of the world that we are one nation under one God. Thank you so much.
There are a number of people who can't be here today because of the holiday, or because they're traveling far away or had other commitments already planned. But they wrote to us, and this comes from Rabbi Berman at Congregation Interfaith Israel. He wrote this a couple of weeks ago, and he writes, "Dear friends, I'm sorry that our Sabbath observance prevents my being with you on this day of remembrance of 9/11, a day which unfortunately has been chosen by some for the promotion of bigotry and intolerance instead of peace. The lesson of September 11, 2001 should be that all of us need to work all the time for greater understanding and openness in the world in which we live. Solidarity is important not only on special occasions like this, and at times of threats to the peace of our communities, but always, every day. And it is important that each day we give thanks to God for the freedoms we enjoy, which are denied to so many in so many places all over the world. Please know that my thoughts and prayers are with you, as are the thoughts and prayers of the Jewish community as we observe our New Year holiday and our Sabbath. May your prayers and your efforts help to bring us all closer to a time of peace and understanding for all people everywhere. With best wishes, Harold J. Berman, Rabbi." The next reading will be from Eric Leader. He's going to read the words of Dr. Susan Ritchie, minister of the North Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Lewis Center, who's also a member of the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Association, that is our governing body. I want to say about Susan that she's made a special study over the last 10 years in particular, along with a friend of hers who is an expert in the history of the Ottoman Empire, about the connections between Eastern European Unitarians in Hungarian-speaking areas of Europe and the Ottoman Empire. Many Unitarians actually served under the government of Suleiman as people who governed various areas, and he had many of the Unitarian books translated into Turkish and Arabic for them as they lived in their place. She also was quick to point out that one of the great Unitarian ancestors, Miguel Cerveto, was inspired by peace between Christians, Muslims, and Jews in his preaching in Spain around just at the time after the expulsion of the Muslims and the Jews from Spain. So there's a connection historically in our particular movement to this kind of work. And she refers to one aspect of that in this letter that she's written to us.
Susan Ritchie writes, "Blessings and greetings. In 15th century Andalusia, the Iberian Peninsula of Spain, a public burning of sacred Islamic texts was held, the first wave of hatred that led to the expulsion of Jews and then the Muslims from their homelands. A beautiful culture had been marked by religious tolerance, and profound learning was utterly lost. One voice that spoke from the 12th century of that culture was Mouhamed ibn Arabi, who wrote, 'My heart can take on any form, a meadow for gazelles, a cloister for monks, for the idols, sacred ground, Kaaba for the circling pilgrim, the tables for the Torah, the scrolls for the Quran. My creed is love. Wherever its caravan turns along the way, that is my belief, my faith.' I hear Ibn Arabi's call now. We must all join this caravan of love. Some want us to believe that if we do so, we will be lost in the desert. I say that only if we listen to each other and respectfully accompany each other, only if we each speak aloud our own name of God, shall we know the holy at all. Only this will prevent yet another senseless destruction of a beautiful and vibrant land, our inheritance only when shared. Thank you for the gathering in the name of tolerance and love."
And lastly, Jolinda Stevens, the religious educator here at this congregation, will read from the Reverend Tim Ahrens, senior minister of the First Congregational Church of Columbus, the United Church of Christ. He sent this letter to us from Cairo, Egypt. He's been on sabbatical in the Middle East for quite a few months, and he writes these words.
Dear friends, he says, throughout the summer I have submitted over 65 blogs to the Faith and Values section of the Columbus Dispatch, writing on the points of unity and divisions between Muslims, Christians, and Jews. I have shared my experience in the Middle East and Spain. Currently, I am in Cairo, Egypt. I have been following the story of the small Florida church set to burn Qur'ans on Saturday, September 11th. General David Petraeus, commander of the American Fighting Forces in Afghanistan, has declared that this action, quote, could endanger troops and it could endanger the overall effort, end quote. General Petraeus is absolutely correct. For any Christian to burn Islam's holiest book is like throwing an incendiary device on relationships between Muslims and Christians worldwide. This will be particularly true for American Christians. This action will not only endanger our troops, it will endanger the fragile relationships between Muslims and American missionaries, Peace Corps workers, medical workers, diplomats, teachers, students, tourists, and holy man pilgrims. I shared this evolving story with one Coptic Christian friend here in Egypt. He was horrified when I described the unfolding event. He said, quote, if radical Muslims cannot respond against Americans, they may turn on local Christians in whatever country they are in. Here, that means me and my family. This is a very bad idea, end quote. The religious communities I know, however, have a very good idea. Thoughtful conversation, honest cooperation, respect, and peace. Sincerely yours, the Reverend Tim Ahrens.